Good morning, everyone. RISE is a reboot, invest, scale, and empower yourself. That's an initiative from Women Who Code Hyderabad. And all the activities done by Women Who Code is to enable women on a career break to return to work, especially this RISE initiative. And the mission of this Women Who Code is to inspire women to excel in technology careers and thereby create a world where diverse women are better represented as engineers and tech leaders. And here everybody gets an equal opportunity to participate or learn or volunteer, irrespective of their demographic characteristics and then political affiliation, socioeconomic status, preferred programming languages. And Women Who Code does not tolerate harassment of members in any form. So hence it applies to all the initiatives taken by Women Who Code. And if you would like to, please feel free to read the whole code of conduct at womenwhocode.com/code of conduct. So with this, I'll probably hand it over to our trainer. So we have a new trainer today. His name is Ravindran, and he is based out of Chennai, and he has 17 years of IT experience, and it is primarily in banking domain. And out of these 17 years, he have worked in Java for about 14 years and involved in large-scale enterprise application development, SOA implementation, and solution designing. And personally, his hobbies are reading historical novels and swimming. And he has traveled various countries for the application delivery. So thanks a lot, Ravi, for volunteering and helping other people grow in their careers. Over to you. Let me stop sharing. Over to you, Ravi. You can take it over.
All right. Thanks a lot, Nandini. That was quite interesting introduction. So, hey, hi, everyone. Good morning. Let me start sharing my screen. Can someone give a shout if you could see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Fantastic. So before we get started, let me know how was your previous sessions. I think you've been, this must be 7th or the 8th session in the Java track, right? So you must be gone through the basics, collections, threads, JDBC, and so on, so right. Did you all enjoy the sessions? How was this, and what do you think is the key takeaway from your side, and what do you think is something is missing that that you feel? Maybe let's take it a little more interactive than mono dialogue here.
Hey Ravindran, this is Kaveri. Actually, I have a break of 7.5 years, so I totally I was not in the touch with the Java. So now after this 7 sessions, really I got back actually. Like I got back in the track. So it was really very interesting. And
fantastic. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Is there something that is missing, as you understand? Maybe from your understanding, is something that is missing?
Means, sorry, I didn't get your point.
No, is there something that could have been done better?
No, nothing like that. But the thing is that the OOPS concept and all was actually covered within 2 sessions. So they could have taken some more time to give us some practical, sessions. So that only that is missing to my knowledge.
Cool. Very nice. So we'll make sure we'll give ample time next time to cover those. Any other thoughts from anybody to start with? All right, if you have none, maybe we'll get started. As Nandini introduced me, my name is Ravi. Throughout this presentation, feel free to stop me at any time if you have some doubts. And the schedule is for 2 hours, but I don't think I'm going to spend all these 2 hours. We might wrap up in 1.5 hours time. Okay, it means that I'm going to not take more than 2 hours of your time. And then what is that I'm going to talk about today? The unit testing of your application. Is it really important topic? I would say it is the most critical aspect of any application. I've been in the industry for about 17 years. Many of the bugs that might pop up at the fag end of UAT or early stage of the production can be prevented if a proper unit testing was done. You know that out of 100 products developed, about 27 to 30 products are rejected. They never get into the production. When I say product, I'm talking about software applications that we develop. And there are various reasons why those 27 to 30% of the applications never even get into production. But one of the prominent reasons is the quality. And we traditionally depend on quality engineers to do our testing, right? And we got evolved with the automation testing as well, right? So besides all this, still we have issues. We have seen last day in the UAT still sign off a spending, and development team and testing team and business team are getting together in a tough meeting to agree or disagree. Things are happening still. Automation testing is there, testers are there, we've been improved from the process, but still there are issues, right? What could have been going wrong with respect to quality of the application? As everyone has different opinions, in my view, that the application would have been not tested to the unit level. What I mean by unit level, in Java, we can consider a method could be a unit. The measurement of the unit varies from one person to another person. So I would start building the unit testing framework, like, testing a single method in your class. Consider that as a unit testing. If you have tested every method of your classes, right, from all the boundary conditions, it has very less possibility of getting an error or exception or failure during UAT or production stage. Would you believe that? Would you agree with me? If not, please feel free to unmute and talk to me.
Yes, I agree.
That's the spirit here. That's why I keep saying this unit testing is, though it is coming at the fag end of your Java track sessions, this is most important. And you be aware of what it is and how to do this. It's going to help your time and your organization time a lot. Not retrofitting and not fixing so many bugs or having issues while just before the production day, right? That's why I'm saying this session is going to be quite interesting and important for you. Please pay attention to it. I'm not going to take more time. I have very few slides. I have about 12 slides, and I have some demos to show you. That's it, right? I'm not going to bore you with more concepts that I can share. And most of the content that I'm going to show you has taken from GM University presentations. Some of them I have added few more content, so credit has to be given to the author who has created most of the content that I'm going to share with you. What is unit testing? As I told you, it's a procedure or a method to test a particular unit of your source code. Why it is important? If your single piece of code works, then we can be sure that it can work together. When you run an application, right? So when you apply a credit card on the online, you have a screen that shows, that's where you enter all your information about your personal data, your financial information, so and so. And behind the screen, there would be nearly hundreds of methods running. Imagine it was written in Java. And there will be hundreds of methods running in the background to make sure when you click submit, it all works fine, right? So when you apply for a new credit card, when you apply for a new home loan in a screen, there are hundreds of methods running in the background to make this happen. What if one of the method is faulty? You're going to get into error. At the moment you're getting into error in the page, you're going to retry. And if it fail again, if it fails the first time, and there is high possibility that it will fail again, and it keeps failing. Imagine you'll lose interest to the home loan applying with a particular bank ABC. And you will say, if this bank has a website, such a poor website, which can't even allow us to enter an application, how can I trust this bank? Why should I apply this home loan with this bank? Even though they are offering a better interest rate, they have a very poor application. Just later in the time, maybe 1 year from now, when I need my certificates, interest rate certificate from the bank, again I have to use the IT system. The IT system is so poor. I'll be very suffering in the long term. So I would better go with a better bank who has a better infrastructure. That's the mindset of the customers, right? Now the market has been widened. There is no single player. So there is competition everywhere, right? So you'll definitely not go with the ABC Bank because of their poor IT infrastructure. People get frustrated, and there are better opportunities in the market, and you will definitely go away from ABC Bank. And what it means, ABC has lost a customer. A loan is not a single time relationship, it's a long-term relationship. Hence, they have lost a huge opportunity there in the market. Imagine, millions of users feeling the same and they are moving away. The business will certainly go down, and ABC might not even exist in the market anywhere. So that is the power of your infra IT systems being unstable. It can destroy the company at any time. If you're so poor on your IT infrastructure, if it keeps giving errors, like what happened to HDFC Bank in the recent time, RBI put a restriction on HDFC Bank not to issue credit cards. Why? Because their IT systems are so poor. They've been having faulty many times. Customers keep complaining ATM did not work, online banking did not work, NEFT transfers takes 2 days of time. And people are angry about it. And RBI put a restriction on HDFC Bank not to issue any more new credit cards. And what happened next? ICICI pitched in, and they have issued a new credit card coupling with Amazon. So now ICICI has grown vertically unimaginably because of new credit card they are offering, and HDFC is no more in the market. So just imagine the impact of 1 or 2 methods that keep failing, and it's going to impact your business. That's the level of importance that you should give for your unit testing. I hope that was very clear to you why we are doing this unit testing. And let's move on. For Java application, we have this JUnit as a framework. JUnit, again, you're going to use Java for writing the testing code. You don't have to learn anything new. That's the beauty of JUnit. Since if you know Java, you can very well use Java JUnit and get your unit test written in Java. And what you need, simple library downloaded from internet and add it to your workspace. You can get started with the JUnit. And some of the Eclipse latest versions have JUnit already built in, so you don't have to worry about downloading JUnit at all. And what it guarantees you, you write a code in Java to test your Java code, and you can run this automation, this unit testing automated. There are multiple ways you can automate. One of the prominent ways in the enterprise is integrating JUnit test with your Jenkins pipeline, right? So I'll talk about that a little later. But for now, just be aware that when you write a unit test, you can run manually from your desktop, but at the same time, it can also be automated at the server side. So whenever you check in the code, it can automatically run and make sure that every method in your code is proper. Otherwise, you're going to get an error and your check-in will be rejected, right? So your code check-in to the code repository, it could be Git or SVN or anything, it will be rejected. So that is how the automation can help you to ensure the quality of the product. All right, let's get some quick facts. First question, is the JUnit is the only option in the market? Not at all. There are a few other options. NUnit and TestNG are the other good options available in the market, but comparing to them, JUnit is quite famous. For two reasons, it's very simple and very powerful. And what about Selenium? I keep hearing this Selenium as an automation testing tool available in the market in Java. I can write code in Java in Selenium and I can do testing. Can I use Selenium in place of JUnit? No, not at all. Selenium is for a different purpose. JUnit is for a different purpose. I want to pay attention here. Please listen carefully. Selenium is for functional testing and JUnit is for unit testing. What is functional testing? You have an application. There are setup screens. In the first screen, customer enters their information. In the second screen, they're entering their financial information. In the third screen, they're choosing which loan they need. And the fourth screen, they are giving some attachments and submitting. A functional testing would ensure all these four screens are filled in and final submission happens and see what is the result. Whereas in unit testing, it's not about that. Unit testing goes into micro level. On the first screen, you would have entered your personal information. For while you enter the personal information and click submit, there will be definitely hundreds of methods running in the background. One method would be validating some data. One method might be getting the data from the backend to show in the dropdown. There are drop downs showing the countries to choose, right? When you enter your address, there will be a drop down to choose which country you belong to. So this is coming from the background. There are a few methods running in the background to get this list of country. So in the first screen itself, there will be hundreds of methods running in the background. For each method, this JUnit will be testing to make sure this particular one method is working or not. So imagine there are 4 screens, there will be 400 methods. For each method, it is going to run and give you the results. Out of these 400 methods, 350 is doing good, whereas 50 methods are not doing good. It's failing. So that is the micro level of testing done by JUnit, but Selenium is a functional testing used for automation testing, right? So that is the key difference that you should be aware of between unit testing and functional testing. And how JUnit is executed? You can do it automatically or you can do it manually. When I say automatically, one wide option that we have is Jenkins. What is Jenkins? When you run your application, when you check in the code to the Bitbucket or any repository, there's a build process happening automatically at the backend on your source code repository system. So your code will be merged. You get a new package, you get a new jar or WAR file with combining your changes with your team members' changes together. And there's a build happening behind the screen using Jenkins. So Jenkins has a pipeline. We can do so many things in Jenkins, like, you can do code scanning, you can do automation testing, and you can very well integrate your JUnits with your Jenkins. So which means when you check in the code, your JUnit is going to check all your methods are correct. How does it going to check? Again, it's going to be written by you. You are going to create the JUnit test classes, right? So we're going to see that in a moment, how we can create a JUnit class. I'll take a pause here. Let me know if you have any questions until this point.
Hi, Ravi.
Yep.
Can you please explain this Jenkins pipeline once again, if you don't mind?
Sure. Okay. This is part of CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery. What is CI/CD? When you create a new project, there will be group of members contributing to the project. Each member does particular module development. Traditionally, what we have done, there will be one guy who takes care of merging all the modules together from different people. He will be compiling the code. He will be creating a new build. When I say build, a var file or a jar file, and then he deploys this var file or jar file into the testing environment for testing. This is how we practiced long back, but things have changed. It has been automated using CI/CD principles. In CI/CD, when you check in the code into repository, say for example Git, it gets compiled automatically the moment you check in. A new jar file is created including your change with the existing code set. And then this build file, a jar file or a war file, has been automatically deployed into your testing environment. It need not be tested environment. It can deploy it anywhere. And this is what we call a CI/CD. Why we need a CI/CD? To eliminate the issues and time that we spend on build and deployment. So CI/CD enables faster agility in your overall delivery process. Most of the organizations follow the CI/CD. Jenkins is one of the options to implement CI/CD. There are few other options, but Jenkins is most famous and widely used. And while you just build your jar or war file, Jenkins also allows you to do much more than this. You can do SonarQube based code scanning, code review. You can do JUnit based unit testing. You can actually run your Selenium based automation testing. You can do anything before you deploy the code into the testing or production. So in Jenkins pipeline, when I say pipeline, it has got a lot of targets. One of the target is build, that is creating a war file of your source code after compiling. Another target would be doing a code scan using SonarQube. Another target could be running your JUnit against your code. Another target could be running Selenium automation testing, functional testing of your maybe regression tester scripts. Another target could be keeping the deliverable in the artifacts repository. Another target could be deploying this using Ansible into your test environment, and so on. So pipeline has got multiple targets, and preferably having JUnit as one of your target within your pipeline keeps quality check on time online, right? I hope that answers your question. Does it?
Yes, Ravi. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. If there is no further question, can I move on to the next slide?
Yeah,
Why?
sure.
This is how it is. So this is how a very simple JUnit I can explain this to you. It's not a hello world program for sure. I'm not brought in quite very simple, but in a way that I want you to imagine how it is. First thing you observe is at the rate of test. This annotation indicates this method is a test method. This is going to test something. That's what this annotation represents. And this method can be anything. You can write any name as you like. There is no restriction, but generally what we recommend is always start with the name test, though it is not mandatory, right? And what it actually does is, let's have a quick look at it. It is creating a new spreadsheet. It is putting some value in the cell A1. The value is 5 is inserted into the spreadsheet. And then A2 is inserted with a formula that equal to A1, which means A2 will always contain the value that is there in the A1. So what is the value that will be in the A2? Can someone unmute and tell me?
5.
That's it. And then now we are trying to put a new value into the A1, 10. What should be the value in the A2 now? It should be again 10, right? So that's what we are going to say. Assert equals 10, sheet dot get A2. What it means? Assert equals. So this is the test assertion that we are doing. So you should be very clear about this. This is where this belongs to JUnit framework. So this assert equals is the place where we are trying to compare expected result against actual result. If these two are same, if the expected result 10 and actual results that is there in A2 is both are same, equal, then assertion is successful. If the expected result and actual results are different, is not equal, then the assertion will fail. Whenever the assertion fails, test fails. There are only two things that you should be keep focusing on: the annotation test, the assertion. These are the two things that comes from JUnit framework. Rest are all is Java code. Does this sounds good to you? Anyone has anything to ask?
So assert equals is a pre-written code, JUnit?
It's a method from JUnit. That's correct.
Okay, got it.
All right. Like assert equals, there are n number of different assertions available in JUnit. Okay, so let me take you through some of them. Let's take this. Okay, we have seen this assert equals expected and actual. What it does, it just compares these two and see if they are equal. If they are equal, it's going to say assertion is successful. Otherwise, it's going to be say assertion is failed. And okay, so we can have a message which is going to give you a return to you in case something goes wrong. If the assertion is failed, this message can be returned. So that's for an extra question. An assert false. So you can have a Boolean condition into your assertion and say if it is false, the condition returns false, then the assertion is successful. And assert not null. So it's going to check whether the given object is a not null object. If it is null, then it's going to fail. Assert true. So you're going to pass a condition, a Boolean condition. And if the Boolean condition is returning true, then assert true is going to be successful. And this is not the complete list, as there'll be n number of assertion, but the most frequently used is assert equals, assert true. And as you move on, you try to explore more assertion. JUnit has got a number of assertion, but you just start with these two, assert true and assert equals. Okay, and then as you move on, you will be definitely exploring few more very interesting and useful assertion. Right? So let me move on. And there are annotations that we have spoken, right? And what are the annotations that I wanted to talk about now? We have already seen this at test annotation. This annotation indicates this method is a test method. What it means, inside this test method, there will be an assertion. And this assertion tells whether this test method is success or fail. That's what this annotation indicates. Likewise, there are few other annotations that you need to be familiar with. Let me take you that. Before class, so this one runs before all the test methods. What you do here, you can do some global setup like establishing a database connection, initializing the log entries, checking whether the test data is available, ensuring the application is up and running. So anything that you want to do before every test execution, you can do it here. And likewise, you have after class. What it can be used for? This is run after every test is run. And what it does, it tries to close the connection that was opened before. It might shut down the application. It might clear the cache, or it might clear some temporary files, anything that you want to do after every test execution. All the test is completed now. I want to do something. Maybe you can use it for creating a report. There is no restriction in what you should do, what you should not do, but you use it logically that is relevant to this particular case. And one of the beautiful questions somebody asked me usually is, should I write this method after class at the end of this class? No, not necessarily. You can write it anywhere in the class, but just this annotation indicates this method gets executed only at the end. Similar to this, before class method can be anywhere in the class. It can be the last method, doesn't matter, but this annotation indicates this is going to run the first before any test method. I hope that's clear. And likewise, you have before and after. You might have guessed it correctly. These methods it's going to run before and after the test, right? So runs before each test, meaning this setup is going to run for n number of times. If there are Like you have test main. Let's assume there is one more test method called test second. So there are two test methods that you had. So this before method will run 2 times. One time before test main, another time test second. So for both the test method, this will run. Whereas this before class will run only once before any test execution happens. That is the difference between before class and before method. And after, as you might have guessed it, it is for after every test method. What you do here typically, you might set up some parameters, you might clear some parameters on the global variable, or you might increase the success and failure ratio here. You might do something useful to run your program. Again, there is no restriction about what you should do, what you should not do. And finally, the test method, I told you, always start with the test. That's a tradition that we follow, though it is not mandatory, right? I hope these annotations are clear to you. There are few more annotations that is not so vital, and we don't use it frequently, but I want you to be familiar with what it is here. Out of these annotations, there is only one mandatory, which is test. Your class should have at least one test annotation annotation method. The rest are all optional. So if you want to do initialization within your test method, you're free to do. There is nobody going to stop you, but it is not a best practice. You need to segregate your code, maybe initialization and everything outside the test method to somewhere in this before class or before test based on the situation. That is for the best practice and for maintenance purpose. Somebody coming new to your team will look after this before class method to see how you're initializing to the database, how you're making a connection to the application, how you're ensuring what is it executing. If there is a change in the way application, for example, you have an URL to test, the URL keeps changing. You initialize this URL before class. Don't do it in the test method. Because if you do it in the test method, there are hundreds of test methods. You have to change in every method. Instead, if you have it in one method, that's easy to change. The long-term maintenance is easier. Anybody can easily understand what is happening in the initialization, right? That is a basic difference between how you segregate the code. Before class and after class is going to run only once. Before and after, all the test execution or any test execution. Before and after will run n number of times. When I say n is the number of test methods that you have. That's major difference here. And test is what actual test method is. This is the mandatory annotation. These are all non-mandatory, optional. I hope that is clear to you. Any doubts until this point? Please feel to unmute and talk to me if you have anything to ask. Not a good at time. That's fine. Hearing none, I suppose this is clear to you. I told you that there are a few more annotations. If you happen to see something, and don't blame me that he did not teach me, but I'm teaching the most essentials for you. If I start teaching every damn thing to you, trust me, after 2 hours you'll be blank. At the max, we can be active for 45 minutes to listening, not more than that, right? So I'm taking the crust, what is more essential for you to get started. As you move, you might explore few things than what I told you. Like assertion, I told you assert true and assert equals are most frequently used, so please pay attention there. It doesn't mean there is only one, there is only assert equals and assert true. There are a few more assertions that you will definitely come across. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so let me start the presentation and let's go to demo time. So let's see some of the tests that I have prepared for you. I have this method find max. What this method does, when you give an array of number, it's going to find which number is the maximum in the given array, and it's going to return that maximum number. That's what this method does. All right. So what I did, this is assume this is the application code, and I want to test this particular method. What I can do is, I say Okay, this is the test method that I have written. Test find max. The test is a practice that we follow. Find max need not match with the method that you test, but it can it should give some hint about which method that you are trying to test. There is system out just to say it started, and then I'm using assert equals. The expected value is 4, and then I'm passing. I'm saying calculation dot find max. I'm creating a new array and I'm passing to this find max method. What is this find max method? Just now we have seen. This is the method I'm talking about. I'm going to call this method and I'm going to pass a new array. The array has got 4 elements. Out of these 4 elements, 4 is the max number here, largest number here. That's why the expected value is 4. Whereas 3, 1, and 2 are not the largest number here. So my expectation is this find max method should return 4. If it returns 4, the assertion will be success. If it doesn't return 4, assertion is failed. And you could have seen before class and before annotation has been used, but I have not done anything over there because I'm not making any database connection or application connection. I'm not doing much anything there. But if in case if you want to do something in your application, feel free to do at before class and before annotation, and after class and after annotation, right? So for now, let us only focus on this method. You can ignore this. Sorry. Okay, so you can just ignore this. I have only one assertion and I'm looking for 4 should be the answer for this method because it's the largest number. Let me run this. How do I run this? It's a Java code, right? Again, it's a Java code. So I'm going to say run and test case 2. This is the name of the test case. My goodness, it fails. Number of failures is 1. So what it fails and what happened? So it gives some information. It's a assertion error. Expected was 4, but it returned to 3. Does it give you some indication why it is failing? I was expecting 4, but this find max method is returning 3. Obviously, the method is not doing good. That is why the assertion is failed. When the assertion is failed, the test itself is marked as failed. Let's go back and see what is wrong in this find max method. Are you clear until now what I'm trying to do? I'm just trying to call this method with the array. My expected result is 4 because 4 is the largest number in this array, whereas this method is returning number 3 as the largest number. There's something wrong here, right? Let's go back and see. So this is the method definition. Please have a look at this closely and tell me what is wrong here. There's something wrong. It is not returning 4, it is returning 3. There is a loop and it is trying to compare this max number and then return a max number. It is just comparing every number with other and see which one is a max number. Very simple logic, right?
Max is initialized as 0.
Line number 8.
No, line number 6 is max is initialized as 0.
Okay. So you have these numbers. You have this 4, 2, 3, and 1. This is the input that I have passed on. But it's supposed to give me 4, but it is returning 3. There is something weird here. Can someone point out what is wrong here? There's typically a logical error here. Guys, anybody unable to follow me, anybody having difficulty understanding what I've told, please do let me know. I'm more than happy to repeat or help you with.
Is the error in line number 9?
What is the error in the line number 9?
Max is great. I feel it's an error in line number 9. I'm not able to explain it.
You are much closer, but you
Actually,
give it another try.
it is basically telling you in the line that whatever the maximum value is, it should be less than, I guess, array. So the max value will obviously not return the maximum value. It will return one value less.
If it is array of I, which means, let's say if it is comparing 0 and 2, 2 is greater. If it is 2 is greater, the max value is returned by 2. So 0 is now replaced by 2. So it's just comparing 0 and 2 is greater. So the value 2 is now placed in the max variable. So that's how it goes. So at least in this line, it does the right job. It compares two number, whichever is greater, it is placing in this max number. So when the next iteration comes, the max has 2. So 2 and 3 will be compared. 3 is greater, so 3 will replace 2, so max will be 3. That's how it goes. So to a greater extent, you are close, but still something is missing. Can someone guess what is going wrong here?
Don't arrays start at 0?
Which line number are you talking about?
Line 8. But I think arrays start at 0, right?
That's it. That's it. That is the problem here. What it does, it's completely ignored number 4. It was starting index 1. What it does, it started comparing 2 with 0, and then 3 with 2, and 1 with 3. Out of these 3 numbers, 3 is the largest number. So it returned to 3. It completely ignored 4 because the I was starting at 1. Array index starts with 0. That is a problem here. I have found this because there is something indication happened from the unit testing. But when I looked at my naked eye, it all looked good. It all looked good for the first instance. It took some time for us to realize there is a problem. If I deploy this code in production, imagine what happens. I'm going to lose my customer. Losing a customer is the most biggest mistake any business can do. I hope you all agree with me. That is why the power of unit testing is directly related to how you can sustain in the market, right? So now I changed the code. What the change? Instead of 1, I changed it to 0. Now it's going to consider including the first number. And let's run the unit test again. Pass. There is no failure. A green indicates it's everything going good. Okay, let's do one more interesting stuff. Let's do one more assertion. This time, the big challenge here is I'm passing negative numbers. All the numbers in the array is negative. And I'm doing the same assert equals. Out of this negative numbers, which one is the max? -2 is the maximum number here. When we go into sub-0, the lesser number takes the higher precedence. So -2 is the largest number out of this array. And my expectation is the method should return -2. Let's see what it does. Does anyone need any more explanation about the first assertion before I move on? Feel free to unmute and talk to me. Silly questions are absolutely fine. There is no such thing called silly questions. And don't be shy away of asking questions in case you have. I hope that was clear to you then. So let's move on. So out of this, now all the negative numbers, -2 is the largest number, and let's see what it does. And I'm sure there is surprise expected for us. Oh, again, one more failure. What happens this time? The expectation was -2, but the actual result is 0. Again, the find max method is doing something incorrect. Now, this time you're familiar with this method, right? Now tell me what is wrong here and what do you think is the right way to get this fixed? I'm not writing all the numbers correctly, but I imagine these are the numbers I'm passing on. My expectation is -2. I'm now including a 0th index. The problem is corrected, but still it is returning 0 instead of -2. Is there something wrong here? Very simple method, right? Hardly 4 lines of code. And I'm getting second error out of this 4 lines of code. Can someone give a guess what's going wrong here? There is certainly something wrong here. That's why it is returning 0. It's supposed to return -2. And the hint is right in front of you.
Is the error on line 6?
Spot on. What is wrong there?
So you initialize max to 0. You should initialize it to like -infinity or like negative, maximum largest int value that can be held in a variable. So like negative infinity. I don't know what the number is, but it's it's like integer dot max int or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Negative max int. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. That's the one way of fixing is. Guys, others are able to understand what the root cause of the issue here.
So in the if loop, in if we are checking like max less than array of 5. So 0 so this array of 5 will always return a negative, and so this will not actually execute.
Perfectly correct. Perfectly correct. In all the 4 iterations, this if condition returns false. So this line is never ever executed. So the default value of the max is 0, and that was it is returned. That is a problem here. And one of the option was initializing a max with the lowest number possible, or you can start comparing from, you can assign the first number to the max and comparing with, and start the comparison from there. So there are 2 different ways that we can, of course, there are n number of ways to fix this problem, but let's take it very simple way of assigning the first value to max and then comparing from the next number. Let's do this, right? So array of 0 being assigned to max, and then you start the loop with index 1. What I have done, instead of going with some default values, I have taken the first number and I started comparing with the next number. Between these two, which one is greater? And then from there, which one is the result? I'm going to compare this with -8. I'm again say which one is the max, and then the result will be compared with -6 and go on. So this is the one way of fixing this problem. Does anyone here doesn't understand what was discussed here? Please feel free to unmute and talk to me. We can go over it again. It's a small group, so don't be shy away of asking questions. It's absolutely fine asking silly questions here than making a blunder in the production code, right? So you observed it's a very small code. Hardly there are 4 lines, but we have encountered 2 issues. When you see the code first time, you have never expected there is something wrong, but when you run your test, you found there is things going wrong. And let's run this code again. Then it's all pass. Let's also run this and ensure this is also working fine for the positive numbers. That's also running fine. So our logic now is corrected. All right, so I have 2 assertions. Let me run now. And this test will take both the assertion. If any one assertion fails, the test is failed. I repeat, in a test method, you can have n number of assertion. Like I have 2 here, you can have any number of assertion. If any one assertion fails, the test considered to be failed. As simple as that. Got it? So that's end of the demonstration of unit testing. But I want to give an additional bonus session. It's not a part of this particular curriculum, but I still wanted to focus you to focus on this aspect because that's very important here. Apart from unit testing, the other aspect is code coverage. What is code coverage? Very simple. I have tested this, but what about this code? This is never tested. So I want to find how much of my code is tested, how much of code is not tested. If the percentage of the code tested is 90 or above, I would say confidently that this class is perfectly fine to go into production or testing. Otherwise, if the coverage is very less, I would not get that confidence. Let me repeat what is code coverage. We have run the assertion unit test only for this method, the find max method. If you closely observe, there are two more methods which were never ever tested. If I have a JUnit which tests only part of the code and part of the code is ignored, it is again a big problem and it's going to result in a quality issue in my application. I don't want to get into that. So what I should do, I should find the percentage of the code coverage. How do I do that? Should I go to my source code and find which method are executed, which not executed? No, not at all, not required. So there are tools available in the market which can do it for you. So one of the code coverage tool that comes bundled with your Eclipse, let me run that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this same JUnit test case with the code coverage option. So this run button with this progress bar, I'm not sure, it's very small to see, but when you install Eclipse and when you observe this, you might see it well. So this run button is for running the test case as a JUnit test case or running it as a Java program, whereas this run button that you see along with a small red and green indication, this is for finding the code coverage. Let me do that. So let me run this test case. What I'm doing, I'm still running the same test case. I'm not doing anything more. I'm just running this test case, but as a result, when I go back to my code, it clearly tells the green indication, these are the code that was run, whereas these were never run. See, there is no green indications here. And when I expand this, right, let me bring it up to the, yeah, let me expand this. So this is the class I was having the logic. Calculation is the class I have all the logic written. Look at this code coverage is 63.9%. It is unacceptable. It means only 64% of the code is tested and about 36 is still untested. It's a risk to our application. Did you get that? Anyone has any questions at this point in time? Anyone has any question what I'm talking about? Because there are two methods which are not run, the percentage is very low. Feel free to, if you have any questions, to ask me. This is not related to JUnit, but this is an important concept that I want you to be aware of called code coverage.
So it calculates the percentage based on the number of lines that are red and the number of lines that are green, right? And then divides it by the total number of lines.
Very true. It doesn't calculate the number of methods, it is calculating number of lines.
Okay. And it ignores the bracket lines. It looks like it's ignoring the brackets, and it's just like the body of the function. It doesn't care about the signature. So yeah, and it looks like it's ignoring comments. So that's pretty smart. Okay.
It is. And in case, the very interesting part is some of the code you might have if and else block here. sometimes the else block might have never been tested. And this comes noticed when you run the code coverage. You would notice that else block has never been tested by a unit test, and it is high probability that it might fail sometime in the unit testing, sometime the UAT, or sometime the production. So code coverage is very, very, very important. And if you see there is a gap, what you should do, you should write more JUnit test case to ensure all the remaining methods are tested. And when you see 90% and above, you can stop your unit testing at this point in time. So you can take your benchmark, how much level of unit test case I should run based on this coverage. I hope that makes sense to you. That's going to help you. And you don't have to install anything. I have this Eclipse 2021-02, I suppose, and it has built-in code coverage already available. If in case you don't have it, just look for, let me go back to my presentation and show you what it is. Yes, ECL EMMA. This is the tool that's running in the Eclipse now. That this ECL EMMA is what it's showing this coverage with the percentage. Okay, so if in case if you don't have in your tool, let's say you are using NetBeans or JBuilder or any other tools other than Eclipse, if you don't have this code coverage, feel free to download this jar file from ECL EMMA and run it from your tool. That should be able to tell you the code coverage. I have skipped few slides, which let me take you over. We have seen this JUnit test case. It need not be for one particular method. It can also be used for screens, like we do for, I've told you Selenium is used for functional testing. To a certain extent, you can use JUnit for screen testing as well. Let's assume you are using a Swing application, you're creating a new frame, and you can just say, S frame is displayable, meaning if the screen is up and running, that's what this is talking about. And if it is, then say it is the screen is up and running, and you can say assert equals true and true. We rarely do this. That's why I did not cover this upfront. But I'm just giving you that JUnit can also be used for testing your screens, provided you have an object representing a screen, such as a JFrame or Swing applications. Or in some cases, you can use third-party libraries that has object representation of the screens. Let's not dwell too much into it because it's of less significance, but I'm just telling you that there are capabilities available in JUnit that you can use to check if the screen is up and running. It may not be used extensively because JUnit is not meant for that, right? There are some good tutorials available online that you can use. What we have seen is a starting point. I've exposed you to some of the annotations, some of the critical assertions, but again, there are a number of things that you can explore as you move. And these are the links that you can use. I will share the PPT after this session. Please feel free to have a look at that. We talked about code coverage. We talked about how to see the number of lines executed, right? This is what we have seen. Maybe for a larger project, you might see so many classes with the percentage coverage. So which one has got 90 and above, we can say confidently that this code has been tested thoroughly, to a larger extent it is acceptable. Some of the classes have about 72 and some of them has only 6.6%. It's mean this class has never been tested. So it's a big risk for the project. So these are the indications that we use to assert the quality before we even reach to UAT stage. We have run the JUnit test case and you have seen what the codes run. Sometimes you can run the application directly and you can get the coverage. So you can launch the screen, you can click the button, you could navigate to all the 4 screens that I've described you. The first screen and the home application, you enter the personal details, and then second details, you enter the financial details, third screen where you enter the your loan details, what is the loan requirement, the first screen where you upload some documents and stuff. With these 4 screens, you can run live And the background, you can take a, percentage of a code that has been run in each and every class. That's also possible. It might require a little more extra setup, but it is possible. Okay, so all you need to do is, let me go back and tell you what you should do. You should not start the application from the command prompt in case if you want to do the code coverage from the screen. You should start from this. So here you should choose, instead of general class, you should choose the main class of your application. So when you choose the code coverage and choose your main class of your application gets started. You'll start seeing the screens, and then you navigate through different screens and do all the tests and come back and see, you will get the full result of every damn class and how much it is tested, right? So that is also one option. Apart from JUnit, you can very well walk you through the screens and get the statistics. Is that clear to you? Or does it sound too cryptic to you? I think I'm not heard a question. It either means you have understood or it's of nothing to you. That's fine. Let's go through the summary quickly. What we have seen. Unit tests are very, very important, critical part of your application. It is directly related to your business. Imagine IT failures can ruin a business. There are a lot of evidences in the world who ruined that business just because the poor IT infrastructure. Let's not repeat the mistake. Have our application tested thoroughly at a micro level using unit testing framework like JUnit. JUnit is not a functional testing. JUnit cannot replace Selenium. JUnit cannot replace UFT. It is a unit testing framework. It is for micro level testing each and every unit of your application. And unit is subjective, but for a reference purpose, let us take a unit as a method. I hope that's pretty much I wanted to cover today. Nothing much from my side. I've told you that I'm not going to take 2 hours. I might take 1.5 hours, but I think I'm well before the schedule. I don't want to feed too much into this, because the more I'm going to feed more than 1 hour or 45 minutes, it's going to overflow. Meaning we're not going to focus much more as in the online sessions, right? So I wanted to restrict myself to make sure you are aware. You get started with what is available. And as you move, you might explore a few more things. That is the plan for my session. And with that, I'm concluding. Maybe we can have Q&A session now. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me.
I think it's a very good opportunity for you all to get more information from an experienced person. So please feel free if you have any questions.
Was that interesting session to you all, or was it too boring?
Definitely, it was very interesting, Ravi, at least for me. Though I don't have much of knowledge on Java, it looked interesting for me.
Yeah, this was helpful. I'm familiar with unit testing in general. I never played with Eclipse's JUnit. Yeah, this was a good demonstration and presentation. It was very beginner friendly. And, it was interactive. I like the programming exercises. Yeah, like the debugging manually. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, Ravi. It was quite interesting, and good part is you have focused on a few things. That is very nice, because yeah, if we take in too much, we tend to forget things. So that is the best thing. The concepts what you have explained is really nice, and you have given us practical knowledge, so that is even more nice. Like theory doesn't sits in your brain that well, whereas but when you have executed programs and all, so that fits in more better. we could understand even more better. So I really like this session.
You have a suggestion to make it much more better the next time?
Suggestion? No. Actually, I really liked it. You have kept it short and sweet with few topics itself. So you please continue in this way only. And I even liked the practical knowledge what you've given, like running the code and showing. So that actually puts in your brain easily, and you can relate it to it very well. So I like the practical thing what you have shown. More than theory, what practical is better, I feel. So I like this
Thanks
session.
a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, even Ravi, I
Any
also feel
thoughts?
the same thing. Yeah, it's very interesting and very informative also. It gives, I mean, theory and practical, both the things on the same base. It's like a pillar kind of thing to cope up. I mean, we have to dig more actually. But anyways, it's very interesting from your side. Yeah, very nice.
Thank you. Anyone has any questions just before we conclude? I'm sorry if you're prepared to attend this for 2-hour session, but I won't really want to dig deep. Rather, I wanted to get you started. Right? That's a thought I had. Right? If you have any more questions, I think there are volunteers that you can shoot your questions to me, and I can definitely help you as we move on. And I want to thank the coordinators who run this program extensively. I'm just part of this program for one day, but they are running this program for a longer duration, and I know how much preparation they are doing in the background to make all this happen. So I would respect and I want to thank them for running this great show. But again, I want to thank the participants. They were quite interesting this session. When I ask a question, normally in my previous training sessions in other forum, there is hardly anybody talks, right? So being in an online mode, still participants here were fantastic. They were talking about, they're answering, they never feel shy about asking silly questions, and that was very interesting for me to take this session. So I would like to thank the participants here. I hope you would have taken something out of this session, and I wish good luck to you, and I great career to start again for you. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Keep in touch with this group, and we'll try to help as much as possible with your technical queries. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for your.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nandini.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.